Hello, YouTube. This is Tom here, coming from our apartment in central London. This t-shirt that I'm wearing is the t-shirt for a trip we just organized in Croatia, and I'll talk a lot about that trip on the weekly email that I send. But basically, it was a trip for 92 European tech founders and investors that came to this island in Croatia, where we organized 4 days of content, networking, and celebrations. So this was it was a completely voluntary thing, but it was fantastic for building a network. And it must have invested like 70 hours or so, but it was fantastically worth it. Anyway, so in this video, what I want to do is review a process that I've just posted that outlines basically what I've been doing for the past 4 to 5 years, buying, growing, and selling online businesses. And so I'm just going to go through the 7 steps quickly in this video. I'll link to the blog post in the comments below if you prefer written content. But I know that some people that sort of follow or consume the stuff that I produce also prefer video content, so that's why I'm doing this. So I'm going to try and work out how to share my screen, although I don't think that might not be possible. Okay, that's not possible, but it's not a problem because I can just go through the steps. So the URL, if you are watching and you want to refer to the blog post, is tomman.io/blog/online business. Let me paste that in the comments now. And so basically, as an opportunity, as for the rise of entrepreneurialism is happening because of the internet. So now, people are, I believe, getting a little bit more disillusioned with the whole salary thing that arrives, lowering the barrier for people to start businesses. So we have all these people rushing to the internet to create businesses, but people that may not be fully prepared or have the skills in order to do that. And therefore, after 6 months to a year to 2 years, they have this business that has proven that they have product market fit, but they can't actually grow it. And therefore they get disillusioned and try to sell. And then people like us can snap up those bargains. And so I believe there's a great opportunity to snap up those bargains on marketplaces such as Flipper or other sort of smaller marketplaces, and then taking on that business, growing it, improving the system, improving the marketing, and then ultimately selling it in different places online where they lift companies for higher multiples. So let me quickly outline the 7 steps, and then we'll go into a little bit more detail in each of them. First is basically finding something cheap. If you can buy an asset for cheap, you're putting here's the best possible way to start, right? Because even within a couple of months, you may potentially be able to make a profit by selling that asset because you've got such a bargain. So the first step is finding these dirt cheap revenue generating businesses. Second is, once you have found them, paying the right price. And we actually built a tool that tells you exactly how much you should pay for any online business that you plan to buy. Third is, once you have control of the company, stripping out all the costs. I found that the owners of previous businesses that we bought have not been that efficient with their investments within the company, and therefore I strip out all costs that don't show an immediate ROI. I then outsource effectively. I take any of the low value tasks and I give that to people in my team in the Philippines. And then we turn to marketing and growth, and we take a very strategic or methodological or a very sort of slow and strategic approach to marketing by selecting one channel first, focusing on that, proving that it does or doesn't work to get customers at the right price, and then moving on if it doesn't work, also moving on if it does work to the next channel. Next is to set up the system, building working procedures, and then finally sell strategically. And the idea here is that we can buy online business for approximately, we try and get them between 3 and 5 times monthly net profit. And then we believe, or we're confident that they can be sold for between 8 and 10 times monthly net profit. So that's the arbitrage opportunity here. So let's go into a little bit more detail on each of the steps. So find them cheap. I think that there's really one place where you can find the best sort of cheap companies, but it's also a place where you're most likely to find rubbish or to get scammed. That is flipper.com. And so I purchased, I think, 3 to 4 businesses from Flipper. One I've got completely scammed upon, and I show that in the article there. But others I've done okay on. So in 2014, I bought a company through Flipper for $800. Over the next 14 months, it generated $14,000 worth of revenue, and then it was sold for $5,000 after those 14 months. So if you do know what to look for, you can find pretty sweet bargains. And the most recent acquisition we made was also through Flipper. We paid 3.1 times monthly net revenue for a e-commerce brand in the male jewelry niche, and we believe we should be able to sell this for between 8 to 10 in 12 to 18 months. So head to Flipper. In the article, I put a link to the search that we use. So you can save a search, and then whenever a new company is listed that fits that criteria, you'll get an email. So I put that link there, the search that we use. And if you just save that search, it will send you every time something's listed, you'll get an email. Once those companies come through, I just usually click watching, and then I just get updated as the process continues with that auction. So let's move on to the next stage of paying the right price. So we have built a tool that basically you input qualitative and quantitative information, e.g. email subscribers, monthly net profit, how many hours it takes to operate the business, along with sort of more qualitative, like do they have a brand, have the business built systems. And if you plug in these numbers into the tool, it'll tell you exactly the multiple of monthly net profit that we believe you should pay. And so there's a link to that spreadsheet in the blog post. I'll also quickly bring out the link here. So if you want to jump on that, you can. Here we go. And so what that tool will do is essentially you can go to a place like Flipper, collect that information, and then put that into this tool, and it'll tell you how much you should pay. And so once you have that, you can then sort of move into a bargaining process. A great book for this is Never Split the Difference. And he outlines a process called the Ackerman model, which is a bartering process, which has worked very well for us. Essentially, you choose your target price, which is given to you by the Internet MBA Valuator. And then you set a goal, which is about 65% of that target price. And you start there. And then you increase in specific increments and do some other stuff as well. That has proven very effective for getting that multiple of monthly net profit down from say 5 to 3. And as I said, we managed to obtain the last acquisition we made for 3.1 times monthly net profit. So step 3, once we have the business, as I was saying, ruthlessly strip all costs unless they don't show an ROI. In the post, I show a screenshot from AdWords from the last company that we purchased, and there was some significant spend on AdWords, on Google Display retargeting, about $2,000, with no evidence of any conversions present. So that's just an example of something that you cut immediately. I'd also look at people and software costs. If there's software that supposedly is delivering an ROI, but actually isn't, based on your investigation, I would cut that completely. And then any people, sometimes it is useful to bring along a operations manager or a manager from the business that you're purchasing. But if that person you think is not delivering the ROI on their salary, or there are other resources that are not, then I would also cut them immediately. And what this does is it releases some cash for steps 4 and 5. So step 4 is then you take basically any of the tasks. And normally with e-com businesses or small business marketplaces or SaaS companies, there's customer service and admin work that you definitely should not be doing. Any company that we buy, there are 2 core roles. So the offshore operations manager, which is that admin, customer service, responsible for the day-to-day running. And then there's like your the CEOs come in and run these children companies. So CEOs shouldn't be doing any of that admin work. So anything that if there are tasks that can be done by a manager for between $5 and $10 per hour, you immediately take all of that stuff and hand it over to them to enable you to focus on that, or you or your CEO to focus on the higher value stuff like the product strategy, marketing, channel selection, and hiring. Step 5, laser focused marketing. So based on what has worked in the past and what you believe will work in the future, you select that one channel and you focus on that. You focus on reducing the customer acquisition cost down such that it works with your lifetime value. And so I put in the example here, our average order value for the e-commerce brand we just bought for last year before we had it, was $215. We know that there's a between 8 and 12% return rate. This gives us a lifetime value of $240. which basically means that with a 40% profit margin, we can spend about $90 on acquiring a customer. And so we're taking the first channel, which is Facebook ads, and we're sort of testing and optimizing over time to hopefully bring down that customer acquisition cost to below $90. And once we have proven that that does or doesn't work, we'll then move on to the next one. So let's say we get customer acquisition cost down to $80. We'll sort of make sure that's reproducible, and we'll keep that running, and then we'll focus our efforts onto the next one, which is, say, for example, Instagram influencers. And then we just keep going. We're going to grow over time by compounding those growth channels. Step number 6, Systemise. So the multiple you want when selling a business will increase as the link between the business and you, the owner, decreases. So I actually made the mistake with a company that I built myself and then sold called Virtual Valley. My face was plastered all over the whole company because I actually needed that. We didn't have much money when we were growing it, and me putting my face on it helped me get exposure for the platform. But in hindsight, it was a mistake, because then that's a big risk for the company that are acquiring you, because this key person, maybe if this person is no longer with the business, it won't function as well. And at the same time, if you are doing stuff within the business and it isn't documented, again, that's a risk for the new owners. Will this business still work if that person isn't there? So what we do in step 6 is really focus on getting your, well, I don't recommend ever putting your face on any business that you're planning to sell. But also we need to remove you from the actual stuff that you're doing in the company. And that's where the operations manager comes in. Hopefully over time they get more proficient with the company and they can do more and more complex tasks. So we hand them over. At the same time, we're documenting everything in working procedures. And so that takes the knowledge of how to run the system out of the brains of the people in the system and on into documentation.